call this workshop in session. And I'd ask if you have a cell phone or anything that makes noise, please put it on vibrate or silent, not to disturb the meeting. It's a long-term recovery plan, and I know we have, they're going to present for us.
Yeah, I think Dennis will probably start the conversation, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Dennis, if you want to start, we'll go ahead and get into
I'd
this.
like to start off, I've got Mark Lease, who was before this board back in July 15th, is going to give an initial. He was not able to be here tonight, so go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, so, Chairman and Commissioners, it's been my great pleasure to work with this committee.
We can't
of
hear it. I
dedicated
can't hear
people
that.
in Baker County.
Let me
It's been
try to see if I
awesome.
can hold it.
You can really be proud of them and their efforts. So, you might remember that on July, I came and showed my face, did introductions and talked about the project. And it's only been 4 months, and what they've done in 4 months is just amazing. And like I said, you can be very proud of them and their efforts. They can do anything they want to do. And I think that's all I want to say tonight. I appreciate you having me on for just a minute. Dennis, that's it for me. Thanks.
Oh, that's it. All that work. We got it right now. Thanks, sir.
So, Chairman and Commissioners, I'm happy to be before the board tonight with, as Mark referenced, a long-term recovery and resilience plan that the county requested assistance with through the Emergency Management Department. And so this is the culmination of the assistance that we're provided by FEMA to come up with the outline and this is really the structure. This is a living, breathing document. So unfortunately, our FEMA team was not permitted to attend today's workshop, so I will be presenting the first few slides in their place. So if we take a look at the long-term recovery plan, and I'm not going to read every word on every slide, it's just not what I do, but I do want to hit a few highlights. So why a long-term recovery plan? Again, providing the community with the recovery planning and training and resilience and education to be better prepared for the next storm, and more importantly, to fully recover from the current 2024 storm season that we experience here in Baker County. Once again, it prepares the community for grant application process. This having things in a plan and having projects designed and developed and worked on, ultimately, when we start looking for grant opportunities, we have prepackaged things that makes it a lot easier and a lot smoother than hopefully to find funding for any of those things that we have outstanding needs for. It builds a strategy for recovery and redevelopment, and if you look at the slides going along the bottom there in the compile all information in one place with community consensus. So essentially, there was a lot of open-ended questions and discussions back and forth in the time that we've been doing this, but it's essentially, what does that community look like when it's made whole, when you're back to normal, when things are where the way they should be and everything is in place and that kind of thing. Additionally, I would draw attention to the fact that hopefully it guides us with that grant support again, finding funding, helping us write grants, helping us apply for grants that are specifically applicable to these areas. So why is FEMA involved? And I'm just going to read this because this is their wording. Following Hurricanes Milton and Helene, FEMA's Interagency Recovery Coordination Community Assistance Staff, and that's a mouthful, offered to provide assistance to the Baker County Emergency Management Office in the form of meeting facilitation to create long-term community development and a recovery plan at no cost to the community. And I'll add, not just at no cost to the community, but actually developed, participated, and designed by our citizens. There wasn't somebody coming from Atlanta coming up with this plan. Ultimately, it was our citizens, which is a huge benefit. And the process. So we formed a committee at the very beginning. That was a very diverse committee. I think we sent invitations out to 88 or 90 folks ultimately, and we wound up with about 7 to 12 folks who, on a rotating basis, based off of schedule and availability, were able to participate in that committee to start the process. We held 2 community-wide public meetings, and we took input from the citizens. We also conducted a county-wide survey, and then we also held an open house that was open to the public again, to come in, look at the plan, make any last minute suggestions from our citizenry to see whether they like the plan, they agreed with it, that kind of thing. So this was really, as a Baker County citizen, there were so many things that I just found, I was kind of dumbstruck by it. So right off the rip, it took us maybe 4 meetings to kind of nail down the vision statement. And that is, Baker County is a self-reliant, resilient, and thriving community that serves the needs of all of its community members. And then our mission statement is to ensure Baker County has the resources, tools, and networks needed to share and deliver services effectively, support sustainable growth, and preserve its rural character. There were so many things that I was kind of caught off guard in this entire process, and I'm one of a handful of folks that attended every single community meeting. I missed one, every single committee meeting. I missed one community meeting because I was sick. But it was amazing to me how no matter where we were in the county and who we were talking to, the comments that came back to us fell in line. We heard the same things in Sanderson, in Baxter, in Taylor, in McClenny, in Glenn. We heard the same types of comments coming back from our citizens. And it was all different walks of life, all different perspectives. I mean, literally, it was a very wide range of folks who participated. And so we, from there, established some goals that this plan should be taking into account. The first one, maintaining and improving access and mobility throughout Baker County. The second one, preserve Baker County's rural character while managing growth. Celebrate Baker County's culture, heritage, lifestyle, and values. Maintaining and improving our parks and recreation facilities and activities. Making healthcare accessible to all Baker County residents, and become resourceful, self-reliant, and resilient before, during, and after disasters. And so that ultimately, those goals were how we came about developing the projects, using the citizen input and the committee's time and resource with the volunteers. The purpose of the long-term community development and recovery plan is to help Baker County focus and prioritize projects to ensure a coordinated, holistic, and community-informed approach to improving its resilience. The plan will serve as a guide for the community, a living document, I'm going to say that again a little bit later, that will evolve as the recovery of Baker County progresses in the coming years. And so the more successful we are at achieving some of these recovery and resilience goals, they may drop off and they may become more of a maintenance of those things than they are a priority for achieving or developing. And so with that, so I'll pause here for with that. As a result of all of the input that we received from all of the committee members and all the citizens, we basically were able to come up with 10 basic projects that all of the communication and all of the suggestions and all of the community input fell into. And so I'm just going to kind of go through those one at a time, and we're calling these our projects. And I'm just going to give you a 30,000-foot overview. At the end, if you have questions that you'd like to ask about specific projects, we can put you in touch. And I think we have most, if not all, of the project champions here tonight. So the first one is road maintenance and improvement plan. As you can imagine, as a Baker County resident, this came up over and over again. It was one of the top 3. And essentially, we have Commissioner Bennett has agreed to be the chairman on that committee. I don't want to speak for him. I was going to throw him on the spotlight here. But I know that we've had at least one meeting, and we've started to bring in some additional partners. So we've reached out, I think, Chris, to Putnam County, am I right? Putnam County to help get some input from their folks who've kind of been through this process before. We're including the FHWA and Florida DOT as well to help us design what that looks like. Transportation, utility, infrastructure, and mobility. The infrastructure and utility, it's kind of a way that FEMA kind of breaks these things into what they call lifelines. But for us in Baker County, the comments that we got from our citizenry, that transportation and mobility access, that came up over and over and over again. And so the project champions are myself and Lori Tanner, who's here with us. I will go ahead and tell you that I'm the project manager on several of these things. And it's basically until I can find somebody in the community that's way smarter than me on that subject to help me come up with where that plan goes. The citizens identified a need, and rather than letting the project die, several of our committee members stepped up to the plate and said, hey, I'll take the reins on that thing until we can find somebody who can help us out more. Strategic Growth Management Plan. This project champion is LaDonna Combs, and co-champion by Greg Shepard. And again, this, as LaDonna, I think, referenced this the other day in the commission meeting last week, or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, that this is hopefully to incorporate in with the other strategic plans and the other growth management plans that the counties are doing. Housing development policies, and again, LaDonna Combs and the SHIP coordinator are the project champions. Affordable housing was in the top 3 or 4. It was very prevalent with our citizenry, and anybody that lives here knows that it's tough to find places to rent that are decent for a decent amount of money. It was very widespread. It's not just a Baker County problem.
Yes, sir.
That's a worldwide, if not for sure, U.S.-wide problem. The next project is the Baker County Day event. And so this was another thing, just made me proud to be a Baker County resident, is we heard from our citizens a lot of different things that kind of fell into this one category. But the citizens were longing for something that says Baker County. They're wanting to be known for this outside of our county, where other folks come and participate in it. Along with that, what they're looking for is something that celebrates what Baker County is, not just one thing, but something that truly demonstrates Baker County. In an earlier slide, you saw me reference that culture. That came up over and over again, and sometimes it was mentioned as family, sometimes it was mentioned as kids and activities, but that culture, hospitality was mentioned a lot of times. But that culture, there is a true desire for our citizenry to have something that really makes Baker County stand out, not just for us to celebrate in the county, but also to bring folks from outside the county to recognize what it is to be Baker County. Parks and Recreation Master Plan update. So the champion on this for now is myself and Emily Floor. Unfortunately, Emily was not able to be here. She got sick this morning and said, hey, I got to cancel. The Parks and Recreation and activities, things for folks to do, access to those parks and recreations came up a lot. So this again, I would say this was in the top 3 of the comments we heard coming back from our citizenry, that this was a priority for them to feel whole and to see Baker County back up and resilient and prepared for the next storm and recovery for the next storm. River Habitat and Corridor Conservation. Once again, we have Emily Floor as the project manager. This project, and as well as Shearers that I'll mention in a moment, these projects actually are connected to other things that are going on. And so Emily actually was working in the background on some other things that tied right into it. And so she was a natural fit for this. Unfortunately, she won't be able to be here today to explain it. She did give me some written words, and if you have a question about her project, I'd be happy to share with you what she wrote down for me to share today. Medicaid and Medicaid Navigator. This is completely outside my wheelhouse, but once again, there were a lot of health issues that came up over and over again with our citizens. And from my understanding, and I don't want to overspeak for those professionals that know what they're talking about, but this function is going away for what we have now in Baker County. I guess the funding is drying up, and there's not only a need now, but a growing need to help folks figure out how to navigate through Medicaid, Medicare, signing up for Social Security, all of those things. And so our project champions for that are Jordan Duncan and Cassie Dole from the Department of Health. And many of our nonprofit folks are also involved in this to assist us with this project as well. Public health information and outreach, again, this is something that we are looking to do. We got a lot of comments from our citizenry about how folks were struggling. And you name, from finding appropriate doctors to specialists for appointments, to being able to get to those appointments, because typically they're outside of Baker County. And so we had a significant number of folks that referenced the fact that we need additional help in that area. And so we have Jordan Duncan, Cassie Knoll, and I think Colleen is actually a co-champion on this project as well. Community Communications Initiative. So the project champions are Director Blanchard and myself, and essentially This is what used to be the old ham radio network, right? It used to be the old civil defense network. It's working on some means of communication when you have that absolutely catastrophic failure of comms. When cell phone towers are down, when the power lines are down, there's not a lot of options, and we are working desperately. Unfortunately, it's a challenge. It's something we've been working on in the emergency management department for more than 3 years. And let's just say that the function of ham radio operator has sundown compared to what it was 25 years ago. And we don't have near the participants in that realm. And so it's a struggle for us to try to reach out beyond what we currently have. I've got the name up here, and I actually changed this a little bit. And what I'll say on this is what we're really looking at in this project. If the board doesn't know, our community, a lot of our community members know, when the power goes out, now that we have fiber, we lose 911 to a huge chunk of our communities. A huge chunk of the county, because you need power on both ends of that fiber optic line. You need something inside your house, and there needs to be some sort of power generated at the switch. And so this is something, again, we've been working on for a few years in the Baker County Division of Emergency Management. Our project champion of this, welcome aboard, is Larry Crosby from Meridian, who's agreed to help us with that, and Director Blanchard is the assistant. And what we're really looking to have is some point where we can call 911 when the power's out. And McClenny and Glenn may not be that big a deal, but all of our outlying portions, from South Sanderson all the way through to Baxter, it's a major issue. Wastewater treatment plant lift station, and I should specifically add Glen St. Mary to this project. This is for generators for their lift stations in Glen St. Mary. We have actually a contractor, Mr. Jeffrey Winterling is here with us. He's the project champion on that. That is something that's also registered through our LMS, and it's on our project list there as well.
Do we not have generators now?
No,
Not really.
this is not, it's not, the city county does all of their lift stations.
Oh, so this one was just specifically Glenn?
Correct.
Okay.
So those are our 10 projects, and I've talked quite a bit about our project champions. The project champions, they're already working on this. Some of this stuff has been going on naturally in the background. So it's just been kind of brought under the umbrella of the long-term recovery and resiliency plan. Many of those projects, like I said, have been worked on at some stage by folks in our community for a while. We're just bringing them all together under this one long-term resiliency and recovery plan. The projects, when taken together, have the potential to transform Baker County's ability to withstand future disasters and vastly improve sustainability and resiliency for our citizens. This transformation does not occur quickly. Success is attained only when the plan enjoys widespread support. And I'll say beyond that, this is a living, breathing document. You may have noticed on the slides it said the time frame and dollars and and all of those things that ultimately we will capture at some point. I was asked very early on, realistically, when are we going to see these projects come to fruition, right? Where we've got an end product. Some of these are just being honest, are going to be years in the making, are going to require a lot of financial support, of more folks getting involved, increasing our partnerships. So this is not a silver bullet where we pull the trigger and all the county's problems go away tomorrow. It's just not what it's. This is basically a long term, and we anticipate that this document will have changes as we achieve certain things, as our community changes. Right? There's a lot of potential there for this thing to continue to morph, but our goal would be that this becomes the template for that living document, and then it just continued again for the next 20 years and the next 30 years. So. With that, the next steps as far as the Long-Term Recovery Committee is concerned is the goal of the Long-Term Recovery and Resilience Committee is that this plan be adopted by the Board of County Commissioners and integrated and incorporated into the other existing long-term plans. And it's just the elements that are not typically included in some of those long-term plans. The Long-Term Recovery and Resilience Plan is a living, breathing document that by definition will be amended, updated as time goes on to achieve the goals outlined by the citizens, elected officials, county staff, and Baker County Sheriff's Office Division of Emergency Management to achieve ultimately that most resilient capacity. With that, if there are any questions, I can either hopefully answer myself or have the board address any of the project champions that are here.
Any questions or comments?
With the, I do.
Yes, sir.
With the Starlink, where are you at on that? Or what's the annual like cost to that? Have we got that far with it?
So we have one proposal. Larry, I'll go ahead and punt to you. You've had the most recent conversation with Director Blanchard. Starlink, we happen to have somebody that knows Elon by first name. And so we were hoping to be able to leverage that, right? And Elon does a lot of really good things for counties during disasters and for law enforcement and that kind of thing. Unfortunately, you're right, there's a cost involved. So Larry, I'll let you.
Yeah, and we're still trying to figure out what that cost is going to be. The contact that Dennis just mentioned is in Jamaica right now, working with Starlink to help them after Melissa just blew through Jamaica.
Sure,
So
yeah.
we had a meeting scheduled with her just before Melissa happened, or we scheduled it before. The meeting was scheduled after Melissa came through. Anyway. And then, of course, when that happened, everything got put on hold, and we're just waiting for her to get back. So we hopefully by the end of the year, but even that's a little speculative because we don't know exactly how long she's going to be down there involved in that.
Sure.
But we're just kind of waiting on the edge of our seat to be able to get that. So another part of the plan. So we've got two components here. The first is the initial acquisition of the equipment, and then there's an ongoing monthly service fee and everything. So we're looking at this maybe in a couple of different pieces. The first is going to be the acquisition. We may be able to get the equipment donated or have some community partners, donate, contribute to the acquisition. And we're also looking at having community partners maybe even sponsor different locations where the Starlink satellite, where the equipment will be set up.
Right.
And so that if we can make it all come together that way, there won't be any cost to the county. It'll all be community partners that will actually help to make all that happen.
Okay.
So, but again, it's all kind of up in the air at this point.
Right. It's still preliminary. Very, very much
It
so.
really is, yeah. And we were hoping to have a little more information by this time, but, go figure, another disaster happened in another part of the world. So, yeah.
That's right. Okay. Sweet. Appreciate it.
And I will reiterate, it's a good point, Commissioner. All of these, with a few exceptions, there's a few folks that had some things already working that have really been fast-tracked. The rest of these are really, we're just getting them off the ground.
That's right.
In fact, we have a training set up for tomorrow. I just got notified the IRC team will be helping us train tomorrow and doing some project management training for our project champions because many of our folks have never managed a project before. So we're actually getting some extra resources to learn how to manage and how to get it off the ground and be successful.
Right. With the next one I have was about the lift station generator for Glenn. Does that currently have a backup? I mean, do we run a CAT one now in case of a disaster?
Currently, there are no generator or no backup generators, ATS switches, none of that is on site of those locations. They do tie into the city of McClenny's wastewater treatment facility system. So if that system goes down, they're suffering SSOs right now. Sewer spillover, that's.
Yeah. Okay.
The question I have on that, I mean, it's probably nothing that you would have, but something that we could be looking into is the CDBG grants. They do a lot of wastewater and sewer, and I know Glenn gets some of those sometimes. It's something that could be requested through those type of grants.
Yes.
And then also there's appropriations that we do as a county, and Glenn falls in this county, and then Glenn could tag into some of those appropriations. And
So
if
Jeffrey
we'd
is
have
the-
known this before, we could have put it in appropriations for this year, but we've already missed that one.
Well, Jeffrey is the grant writer for the town of Glenn. He manages their grants. So, Jeffrey, do you know if they've submitted any of
We've
those types of
submitted
things?
multiple applications to the HMGP program, the IRP application as well, infrastructure repair program.
Yeah.
We currently have active CDBG grants, both CV and neighborhood grants for Glen St. Mary, as well as for the city of McClenny, and we're also working with Baker County on their housing grants as well.
Yeah, if you'll get with us, well, we've already missed the appropriations for this year.
The town should be able to submit those
But
directly.
that's what I'm saying, that next year, the county and we can combine together and maybe help push
Is
that
that our
through.
process?
It's the appropriations process through Representative Brandon and Jennifer Bradley's
Legislative.
office,
Yeah, local funding initiative requests.
Yeah.
Yeah, have y'all submitted any of those?
Not yet for Glenn, but we are looking at that as well too. We're looking at all available opportunities. So we can
Well, if you
find
submit it
best
that way,
solutions.
then the county can step in and we can go through, our delegation and kind of help push that process through. We
Perfect.
can't submit it, but we can help
Right.
it.
We can certainly pull that together. We've been working with the engineering firms on this, so we have accurate information, estimates. We'll work with the county to make
Yeah.
sure we get involved in that
Well,
process.
let's go after it in every asset we can.
That's the plan, yes, sir.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you very much.
To confirm for the board that they're on the LMS project list, so that assists as well for whatever funding you're looking for.
Chairman, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
On the Medicare and Medicaid, you mentioned something about that at one point on your slide, about not having that or it going away or being, where'd you get that from?
Lori?
I've not heard anything about that.
Commissioner, myself either, so I'm going to punt to Lori Tanner, and Duncan's not here, so they're going to let Lori because she's well versed.
So in previous years, our county has had an in-person opportunity to meet with somebody to complete those applications. Years ago, that female passed away, and that position was never replaced. That position was funded, what we believe, by DCF. So we've reached out to our DCF contacts to see if we could get someone an in-person opportunity to sign up for Medicare and Medicaid again, because the current process is they're given a phone number or a website and told to go online and start their application through a portal. But what we found in our healthcare sectors is that there are people who can't read. There are people who are low IQ. There are people who just can't navigate computer systems. There are people who don't have computers. So we really feel like having a person that our citizens can meet with would be a much better utilization to get our citizens insurance.
So it's not the program, it's someone to help them navigate and
Correct.
sign up for the program.
Correct.
Okay. I know we did, I remember having somebody years back because we had talked about maybe letting them use the library to use the computers for different things, but it was still, maybe that's something we can help or request or talk to the right person to help get somebody here because that's important.
And I know the health department has recently opened up their resource hub, which is in the center section of the health department, where anyone can go in during certain hours. And I believe they're working on getting like some tablets available for people to be able to, at least have a method to get on these portals.
Is there a
and
way that you
websites.
could house somebody at the health department to do that?
So
Through
the
state that
position
we could do
itself
that?
was previously funded by DCF. So if we could get DCF to fund that position again, then I'm sure we can find a place. Because at one point, there was a person housed within the health department, and then they were moved to the HUD apartments back behind the hospital was the most recent location. But if DCF can fund that position again, then I'm sure we'll find a place to house them.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Yes,
Start off, you and I had an exchange at the last meeting that I'm sure made you uncomfortable. I apologize for that. I was overzealous a bit, and I am very concerned and very proud of what this committee, this board, has done for resilience. If you look at what we've done recently, we were able to pass a gas tax to help the county road department, to retain people, to have trained people, so when emergency preparedness is a question or recovery is a question, we have staff available. We were able to work with the sheriff and undersheriff to raise the minimum wage or the starting salary, not minimum wage, but starting salary at the sheriff's office, so their retention's better, so they have an opportunity to be prepared at resilience. That's what we're working on there. We talk about fire and rescue. We increased the staffing at Sanderson to make the Sanderson complete. You may have heard time and time again from this board how we want EMS at Kyler. That's a priority for us. That affects resilience. That affects our ability to respond before, after, and during an event. So all of those things, we got a new medical director on board, so we have more local influence over that. So I'm very pleased with where we are in advancing resilience. We have limited funds. We met in Tallahassee yesterday and we heard that those funds may be significantly reduced in the future. So there's a lot of good information here, but we got to have money. We got to have community involvement at a level that's way up here to get some of these things done. You know, the Medicare help and stuff like that, a staff person, a facility, stuff like that, we can move forward with. But some of these projects are, like you say, years. And everybody just needs to understand, we can't do any of this overnight.
Listen, I'm glad you mentioned that, and thank you for the comments about the meeting last week. Our citizens recognize it. One of the things that they said is, hey, yeah, we don't have the money. But they also said, let's start thinking outside the box. And really, that's one of the things that we're challenging our project champions to do is go help identify funding. Start bringing folks in that can help us get there. So you're 100% spot on. And I think the citizens also recognize, because the EMS and the fire didn't come up with the resiliency and some of the other stuff. So I think the citizens recognize that we're making big strides, right, to achieve some of these things. So again, I think it falls right in line with exactly what the intent of this long-term recovery plan is. So.
Comment.
Yes, sir.
Baker County Day event. That excites me.
Yes.
I'm going to put this to Sheer because it did me too, and I'm amazed at what she's been able to do in a very small amount of time.
I am. We got Christmas parade,
Yes.
and it's exciting. And I can remember as a young man attending the Glen Centennial, where everybody grew their beards, and it's like a memory as a young man that I'll never forget. And it was people from everywhere it came to that event. I've seen some people showing their nasty legs with the most hairy men and all that kind of stuff. But I can remember all that.
Right, right.
And I would love for my grandchildren and my children to have those same type of memories.
You
So
know-
in this day, you mention this day, my mind goes to all these events that I've attended here in Baker. This kind of stuff is what makes Baker County special.
I agree.
Because we can do it, and when we do something, not me, because I couldn't organize anything, people go all in to support it.
Well, mark your calendars for March 29th, I believe.
Don't do that, because I might not be in the
March
country.
28th, excuse me.
I'll have to change my
For Saturday.
trip.
Um,
When is it?
March 28th, Saturday.
Saturday.
So, my name is Shira Callahan. I'm the director of Baker Prevention Coalition, and my interest in championing this project is that prevention is, of course, the study of the protective and risk factors involved in a community and what makes a community thrive and healthy. And so this seemed to fall right in line. I've also been subcontracted by the city to put on Ghost in the Oaks and Christmas in the Park. This is my second year doing that event. And it's been an incredible opportunity to connect with some of our local vendors and folks that really want to come out and support large community events. From those experiences, especially last year, I've received a lot of requests for either a springtime event or a farmer's market of sorts too. This day is going to evolve. I would love to hear the crazy things that had been done in the past. I think that's super fun. But right now we're starting with one thing with the hopes that it will grow. Our farm and folk market is what we're calling it. This is what we are planning at Heritage Park, thanks to the city and their donation of the time and space on March 28th. The mission statement for that event is the Baker County Farm and Folk Market brings together growers, makers, and neighbors for a hometown market full of local pride, community spirit, and all things homegrown and handcrafted. That's where we're starting. What I would like to see done in conjunction with this, and it is going to be at Heritage Park, and I think Heritage Park really is underutilized in a lot of ways because, and I understand why, you know, I mean, you have to be careful and chaperone the various spots, but I was hoping that maybe Commissioner Hartley could help me navigate the Historical Society on that day to be able to open up the shops and the stores for folks to be able to tour with some sort of historical guide, whether that's a QR code that they're able to scan and listen to the history, or maybe we just have volunteer chaperones inside with it roped off so people can peep in the different shops. But as I allow agencies to come in and decorate the windows for the different holiday events that we have, that's the one thing that they ask me is, hey, do you have keys? Can we look? We've never been able to see inside. I've had homeschool groups reach out to me. I've had other folks that have reached out and have said, listen, we really would love to see more from Heritage Park in the way of tours and really defining that history. So that's what I am hoping that day is going to shape up to be. We already have connected with the FFA program at Baker County High School, Future Farmers of America. Greg Johnson over there has been extremely helpful. The UF Extension, Shayna Span, has been extremely helpful. We've talked to the Department of Health. We've even talked to the Department of Ag about the cottage laws and what that would entail, the legalities behind it, what we need to make sure is provided. The City of McClenny, of course, the Chamber, because we are supporting small business and we would like to see local growth within our small business community. When the Chamber gets back on its feet and gets going again, we'd like for their involvement as well, and of course the Historical Society. So all of that, you know, it's been an idea that has been floating around for the last year. This has been a great excuse to go ahead and kickstart it and push it through. And so after my meeting with the city last week, we went ahead and threw March 28th on the calendar and already set up the Facebook page and everything. And very soon we'll be ready to rock and roll. If you are interested, you're the attorney, correct? Okay. I do have, sorry, for the attorney, the most important person sometimes, right? I do have our updated vendor list, which has the legalities. If you wouldn't mind just reviewing it at your leisure to make sure that we've covered all of our bases so that there's no liability issues, because nothing says community like botulism, right? And we don't want that. So I'm going to go ahead and give this to you.
Have you considered approaching the TDC, Tourist
Yeah, that's what I
Development
was
Council?
The TDC counts.
You know, no, not as of yet.
You're bringing people into the county.
We are bringing people in, right, and they would be.
It's an opportunity to share what we have here,
Yes, sir.
so
They would be a
I
valuable
would
partner
encourage you
for
to do
sure.
that.
Yes. Jack Baker is the lead on that, is that
He is.
correct? Okay,
He is.
great. I'll talk to him next week. So, are there any other questions?
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Is it a
and-
single day or a multi-day event?
So, you know, out the gate, I wanted every weekend from March until November booked. And the city was like, you're crazy. And Dennis was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we're just going to draw it back to one day, see how it goes. But it's something that I would like to see quarterly because I want it to be a benchmark event. I don't want it to just be a one and done day, you know?
Yeah.
But we'll see what the participation looks like and what the interest is. And maybe it's something that we can do in the spring and definitely not the fall. The fall, I feel like we've got too many, or not too many, a lot of things going on fall and winter time. But you know, maybe the end of summer before school, we do it again. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity there to build on it and make it better, and even move it if we need to accommodate space.
Would the different events be focused on different age groups, or would you just focus on family in general every
Family
time?
in general. Family
Every
in
time.
general, yeah.
Okay.
Now, there are different things going on simultaneously. I know that the UF Ag they have their plant sale going on at the same time, but they've got a young entrepreneurs group that it's going to be featured out at our event as
Yeah.
well. There's been talk about a food truck day going on simultaneously. I
Yeah.
think that I might have a few smaller food trucks in the front parking area so that folks can get a drink at least. But yeah, it's just an idea that's developing, but we're going to start here with March 28th. So,
Having the schools involved and parents coming to see their kids do stuff
yes. Yes.
brings a lot of energy.
It
So,
does, it does. So
Good music don't help.
I
Don't
certainly
hurt.
hope so.
That's right.
We've got a lot of good bluegrass groups in the area, so. All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
I just want to share with the board, not just the pride, but actually the awe that I feel. Every one of our project managers and every single one of our support group has brought this level of expertise, of passion, of understanding of our community. I really want to thank the IRC team, Mark Lease, Ilya, Tyler, Wisdom, but there's too many of them for me to call without reading the list. But I do hope the board recognizes just what an absolute fantastic product that this group put out. And it's all because we got folks from Baker County that have all kinds of skill sets, all kinds of knowledge, all kinds of expertise, and they're bringing it to the table to help our community. With that, thank you again for your comments, Commissioner Van, and if you have nothing else for me.
I do the county communications initiative.
Yes, sir.
I know we talked about Starlink. Is that going to be part of that, or is this a different?
So it's really different. So Starlink is very specific. So the Starlink, I hate using that word now that we haven't got them on board, is very specifically for 911 access, right, for our citizens to be able to call for an ambulance, because they can't do that now when the power's out. The long-range communication for emergency management is maybe even law enforcement to law enforcement, fire department to the county board, right? It's that communication, because we are absolutely attached at the hip to that internet and to that wireless function. If we lose that, and that's what we're looking for. And again, if you think of the old civil defense,
Yeah.
right, it's something to replace that. There's really not a lot of options out there. And the radios now have changed, so we don't use, and the chief I'm sure can speak to this, we don't use the same radio frequencies that we used to use. They're Slears and then the P-28 that's coming next, so it's really become distorted. So it's having that last resort communication for the emergency management function to, and ultimately it's to the citizenry, right, because that's how we're trying to get the message out. Does that help?
Yes, I just didn't know where you was at on that. It sounds like there's going to be a lot of research.
And it's really trying to find folks to restart something that our younger people today don't do. I can remember at a time where our ham radio club in Baker County was really good. We used to use them for our motorcycle events all the time, out in the forest, when we could, before cell phones could reach there.
Yeah.
And most of those folks unfortunately have moved on to greener
Yeah.
pastures, so to speak.
So many people have moved away from residential phones. They don't have a phone in their home, they have cell phones. When that cell tower goes down, there's no more communicating. You
And
can
even-
send up a smoke signal or something, but that's all you got left.
And even now with the fiber optic,
You lose power.
you lose power. You gotta have power on both ends.
Yeah.
You have to have one at your house, some sort of backup battery, and then you need something at the switch for NEFCON.
And that's the reason I was wondering about the Starlink system. If you set that system up, you still have to have power to generate that. So I guess you could put a generator at
And
each
I
side.
think the phone company does. The way they talk, they have them at certain switches, that they'll put them there.
They'll fire 'em
And we
up.
do have that.
Right, but he's saying you'll have to have one at every station, right?
He's talking at the switches, and
I'm
and
talking
I could just tell you that during Debbie, I had to bring this up specifically with NEFCON because I called into dispatch and said, how many calls have you had from Kyler, Taylor, and Baxter in the last 6 hours? And they said, none. I knew then what was going on because I lived there. But to follow up, we're looking for something that is turnkey, right? It comes with the wraparound services so that no matter what, we have that 911 access there. And it may very well include, we talked even at one time, I think the chief was in here earlier, we talked, there he is, there in the back. We had talked about possibly even, back in the day, there used to be a cell phone tower or a cell phone at each one of those fire stations, right?
We used to, yeah.
But it's just, we've moved past that technology, and I think it's going on now. We also have the security element that's going to need to be considered there because you've got a very expensive piece of equipment out in the middle of, so there's a lot of considerations that go along with it.
Have you put time into looking at a mobility Starlink system just for the sheriff's communication or for county communication,
So
intergovernment
Yes, sir, we
communication?
have that ability now. In fact, we have a Starlink that sits in our EOC now, and we
Right.
can, at the moment's notice, request 15 more if we need to from FDEM. This is more for 911 because that Starlink really doesn't help us on the 911 unless our
Yeah.
citizens have access. And really what we were looking at, and it's not the best case scenario, is if I'm living in Baxter, I can drive to the Kyler store or to the Kyler fire station, get 911 and say, hey, my mom needs
Yeah.
an ambulance. So it's still not a best case scenario because, again, shy of just having coverage countywide,
Yeah.
and so much of our area is woods and trees.
Right.
And so
We know the technology's there, but the cost is astronomical. So,
And thank
Just
Larry
come-
for recognizing that the first thing they're doing is working on finding alternate source funding if we can.
Parks and Recreation.
Yes, sir.
You knew I was going to ask that.
I did not, but I've learned to
Yep.
expect the unexpected from you, Chairman.
Help me out on that. We're talking Parks and Recreation Master Plan update.
So if we take a look, and I'll just be honest, our citizens didn't know we had one. The committee didn't know we had one. So there's probably a little bit of a disconnect there, but it's actually very dated. Once we got to looking at it, I want to say 2009, 2019, it ended in a 9.
I set up a committee when I first became a commissioner and worked on Parks and Recreation to have some type of master plan.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
tell you
It
what the
was
comments that
updated,
came
yeah.
from the citizens my kids need something to do, my kids need things to do that are free, we've got some things, and then the other thing was really the accessibility thing, and it was commented, we didn't really hear a lot about like playground type stuff, it was more about activities for kids, families to enjoy where it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. I think the goal for most of our community was to make it free. But it was primarily, and again, I go back to Shira's projects, so many of these things kind of overlapped in the way they work. But they also did say that we have parks that used to be that aren't well taken care of. And they referenced, I think several folks referenced the fact that we've got private citizens now stepping up, right, to kind of lead that thing because we really don't have that money dedicated to that function. And so they were very broad, but the vast majority of them came around giving our kids something to do and kind of the change. So I recognize that part of the study they did when you had the earlier one was that the shooting range was like 75% of the respondents wanted a shooting range, not understanding what it costs, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's very different, and pickleball's nowhere, right? And I don't even know what pickleball is.
I don't either, but everybody talks about it now, so I don't know.
And so it's just updating that and making it more, and again, I think for them, it was all about that quality of life for their family and being able to go and do things that, be able to get to it because it's not 30 miles away, and then also not have to pay an arm and a leg. And we had conversations about the why and that kind of thing, and the whys, we're making some inroads there as well. But here again, I don't think this is a single tiered approach.
Okay.
It's very
Right.
broad.
Okay.
And it's basically just updating what was already started with what you
Right. I think it's a great idea. I just didn't know where we was going with it. Because I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. We started it, and then it's like most of everything, it just fizzled out. When you come before the board and they need a $90,000 project and we've got $9,000, it's hard to stay enthused, and I respect that. But we are looking into impact fees, which would help on that side, and then also assessments. There is a recreational assessment. It depends on how many people are really enthused. A lot of people are enthused until it becomes cost them something.
Yeah.
And then when you start talking about assessments, okay, you can pay a $5 assessment, and every bit of that money goes into parks. We even, at one time when we was on recreation board, we set up an account that people could actually donate in if they so excited about parks.
It's still there. It doesn't ever.
That you could
it's
fund that,
active.
and all that money would go into parks. How much money was ever put in there?
I don't think any.
So a lot of people talk about it, but they don't want to invest. And nothing's for free. You can't buy one piece of a park equipment for less than $30,000-$40,000.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
$40,000. That's the crazy part.
And believe it or not, the ad valorem tax is not enough to pay for everything. It's enough to pay for the basic needs of what this county needs, but to go above and beyond, it's very hard.
Yes.
It's not that we don't want to. It's just that, but there are avenues for funding, and then that's what I'm kind of talking about. If it gets to a point where people are that enthused about it and they want to help support it, I'm all for it. I mean, I own a lot of property in Baker County, and every one of those impact fees would impact every one of the pieces of property that I have. But I don't care, because I think it's worth it for our children.
Yep.
But some people don't look at it the same way I do. They don't want to pay anymore, and a lot of people don't have children anymore. I hear this all the time. I don't have children, why should I pay for parks and recreation? And so we hear both sides. But the main thing is, we need to support our children and our families here in Baker County. And whatever way we can come up with that type of funding, we need to go after it. Just like we did with the, last time with the recreation grants that we have received. They're not easy to get. Because now, when I was in Georgia, they have a tax specifically for recreation.
They
And
have some nice parks
they
in
do a
Georgia, too.
lot for their parks, a lot for their parks.
Yes, they do. And the golf course
And we can
is
look at
okay.
that. We can look at that.
Very good.
But I appreciate, I've overlooked what people in the county has come up, and they're spot on. I mean, there's nothing I see in here is not what needs to be done here in Baker County, to make Baker County a better place to live for everyone. So I'm really excited about this. And the work that's been done, not only by you and your group, but the citizens of Baker County, taking time out of their day, and everybody's busy, to come up with this here. This ain't easy. And there's a lot of work put into it, and there's still a lot more work that's got to go. This is actually the easy part. It's not to think about it, but this is the easy part. Now, put it in action.
Yes.
But I believe with the group that I see in here today, and probably some that's not here, it'll happen. Because everybody in here I see is a go-getter.
Yes, sir. And I'm gonna tell you, I drew the short straw for being up here, but it's all them. It's not me.
I see
It's all
them.
them. So thank you guys, gentlemen, for the opportunity to present. We will be back before the board at some point,
I'm
asking you
sure.
to adopt this into our overarching plans. But we want everybody to have a chance to really take a look at it and really look into kind of where we're headed with this, and then make suggestions and amendments possible. So thank you for your time.
One thing I think we need to look at is maybe in your plan, have some kind of funding options that we're gonna be looking at. So everybody kind of knows, and I can actually take these, our plans, and give them to our representatives.
So each one of the projects has cost estimate and a
Yeah.
timeline. Unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, we're just getting off the ground.
It's early, and I understand that.
And
but-
then we're also challenging our project managers to try to bring their own funding with you.
Yeah, and if you can look at public partnerships, private partnerships, that works a lot. We do that a lot here in Baker County, because we have good people here.
Yes, sir.
And, but I think if you, under your cost to determine, under that, you could bullet point, maybe CDBG grant, recreation grant, I mean, there's line items that we can put, that we can look at.
Make note of that. Thank you, sir.
I'll try to find those.
I'm not the guy that does the.
Right, this is basically talking to everybody, I'm looking at you, but, because there's people out there that knows in their specific field more than a commissioner would know, no more than what you would know, just not our field. I mean, you got a nurse sitting back there, and you got guys that work in communications. I mean, you just got everything. I see all kind of talent in this room, so you got the people. But if they can show some type of funding where we can go look, then the county itself, we can go look at those same things, and we can put it in appropriations, talk to our representatives and the people in Tallahassee, and then they can give us, well, look in this area for funding.
Yes, sir.
So that way we can help on the funding side.
Yes, sir. Did you have?
No, I just wanted to echo that on all the project champions. You know, it's just it never hurts to ask. You know, and there's a lot of generous people in our communities that are just willing to do anything for the county. They just need to be asked. You know, and that's the biggest thing. So we appreciate all the hard work and try to move forward with it.
And this shows that you're willing to do it. Because we talk about a lot of things, but we don't put it on paper. this shows a plan, and that excites people.
Yes, sir. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the community? I'm gonna open it up for other people to speak. It's a workshop, but we can workshop it together.
I'll be very brief. The sheriff just wanted me to make sure I come up and say thank you to all the folks that participated in it. He couldn't be here today, he was going to, but he had issues he had to deal with. But he wanted to make sure that he publicly addressed all the folks that really put the time and effort into this, and thank you for the work you've done, and we really do appreciate it. And we thank the board's time for listening and being part of the process. We appreciate everybody.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Does anyone else want to speak in the workshop? Okay, we adjourn.